I'm back. Rodrance for Black and White Network. Well, we're going to talk about Turning Point USA and The View. More specifically, Whoopi Goldberg. Now, we know all of those broads on there absolutely cannot stand Republicans, conservative Americans, and I'm not talking about rhinos. All right? The View's always saying, oh, we've got the conservative host. I can't tell you the last time that I heard anybody on there or anything come out of there that would resemble something conservative except Michelle Tafoya. And, of course, they couldn't stand her and they didn't have her back really and truly because she really and truly came on there and dropped some knowledge. Well, Whoopi Goldberg's on there. Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg's a lunatic, and so's Joey Behar. I mean, they're total clowns, okay? And Turning Point USA was going on in Florida. President Trump was there. He spoke. Ron DeSantis spoke. Among many other true conservative politicians were down there, and they spoke at this conservative summit, right? Well, of course, Whoopi Goldberg took it upon herself when a group, and it's so odd that this happened like this, but protesters and Antifa showed up outside the summit, and it just so happened some neo-Nazis come sauntering in just right after they showed up. Convenient, isn't it? Convenient. Now, here's the thing. These leftists like Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and all these folks on The View would lead you to believe that the conservatives are literally sitting in their houses with white hoods hanging up and swastikas on their walls, flags. We got, Adolf Hitler. The ashes of Adolf Hitler are next to our bedside. Nothing could be more further from the truth. I don't know a single conservative. I've never even heard of a KKK meeting around here. I really haven't. And I don't know a single conservative in a million trillion years that would celebrate anything close to something involving Nazism. In fact, I think that might be something the left would do. Or maybe Antifa. Just saying, especially if they wanted to smear something like Turning Point USA. Right? Well, Whoopi Goldberg went out there and she made comments that has got herself in some hot water. And I'm just going to flip this over and we'll listen to a couple of the things that was said, but she tried to relate Turning Point over to Nazis. Let's go first with this.
Okay, so you have to read this thing.
Oh, I've got a legal note. The conservative group...
Sunny normally does this, but...
I know.
Yes.
This is our knockoff lawyer.
Okay.
The conservative group, Turning Point USA, has condemned the group of neo-Nazis and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah, but where was DeSantis is what I want to know.
But you let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
Okay, that statement right there was a literal out-and-out lie. That was an out-and-out lie. They did not let them in, point of fact, at all. So here we go. Whoopi Goldberg had to say something else.
Make a quick clarification about the neo-Nazis at the Turning Point event. They were outside protesters. My point was more metaphorical. That you embraced them at your thing, I felt. So they were not in the building.
Didn't.
They
No,
felt
but you know what?
invited.
You know what? If the so-called Antifa, who are anti-fascist, that's what Antifa stands for, would go there and protest, then Antifa would get a bad reputation. That's why when I hear that Antifa is...
right, but that's not... But let me just make sure that everybody... Because, misunderstanding what people say is very big.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure I know they were not in the building, but they were in the mix of people.
Oh, okay. So... You see how Whoopi Goldberg tried to do that? Yeah, I mean, she just went on TV and just flat out and out lied. And this is the problem. And this is a dangerous problem. Let's not get confused. This is a dangerous problem in our society to have somebody like Whoopi Goldberg. Because, look, there are weak-minded people out there that will believe every word that lunatic just said. And that's a lie. Nobody at Turning Point USA embraced neo-Nazis showing up, for crying out loud. So, This is taking a bigger step now. This is taking a bigger step because, look, Turning Point USA, they're threatening real legal action over this. Turning Point USA issued a scathing cease and desist letter to ABC News on Tuesday, calling for the Disney-owned company to, quote, retract the defamatory statements made earlier this week on The View or face legal action. The false statements of fact intentionally made during The View's July 25th segment were unquestionably harmful to TPUSA's reputation and brought the organization and its student affiliates into disrepute with the public, potential donors, current and future business partners, posing a significant financial loss to the organization. Fox News has obtained the letter addressed to ABC News New York Bureau Chief Joshua Hoyes and ABC Assistant Counsel Ian Rosenberg, which accuses The View of, quote, false, derogatory, and defamatory statements about recent student action summits. ABC News did not immediately respond for requests to comment. On Monday, the daytime Gab Fest kicked its program off, discussing TPUSA Student Action Summit that occurred last weekend in Tampa, Florida. The View co-host mocked the elaborate event for taking a page from the WWE simply because of special effects, and accurately portrayed the group as being officially tied to the GOP. And Joy Behar criticized the group because neo-Nazi protesters were outside the venue. The same lady that just tried to co-sign Antifa? Really? Neo-Nazis were out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and you know, the Nazi swastika and a picture of so-called Jew person with exaggerated features, such as Goebbels did during the Third Reich. It's the same thing right out of the same playbook. That's fine that they were out there, but nobody at this summit co-signed that. Nobody condoned that. So what is your point you're trying to make? I thought these protesters were supposed to be out there. They were protesting against the event. She then said Florida Governor Ron DeSantis did nothing, but failed to mention that the Republican governor attended the day before. So she threw Ron DeSantis under the bus, even though he attended the event the day before the Nazis showed up. Later on the program, The View read an on-air legal disclaimer to inform viewers that Turning Point USA condemned the neo-protesters who had, quote, nothing to do with the organization. And that's when Whoopi went on and just the stuff that we just watched the video on. Well, you let them in metaphorically. You metaphorically just made up a bunch of shit, okay? You just made up a bunch of crap. The on-air disclaimers didn't satisfy TPUSA in-house counsel, Veronica Peterson, who penned the scathing cease and desist. The View host intentionally and falsely associated TPUSA with neo-Nazi protesters outside the event, placing TPUSA in a degrading false light, negatively impacting its public perception. Such action will not be tolerated. Specifically, The View host insidiously and cavalierly stated that TPUSA let neo-Nazis in to its SAS event, metaphorically embraced them, and that neo-Nazis were, quote, in the mix of people. The assertion that TPUSA is complicit or affiliated in any way with neo-Nazi protesters outside the event is outlandish, false, defamatory, and disgraceful, the letter continued. Even after Ms. Haynes reluctantly read the TPUSA statement that condemns the group of neo-Nazis, and that group had nothing to do with the TP event. Its event, our student attendees, Ms. Goldberg continues the false tirade against TPUSA, asserting that somehow the organization and its attendees were complicit and or associated with the outside protest. Peterson then added, to be abundantly clear, TPUSA aggressively and completely condemns the ideologies of neo-Nazism and zero connection to the protesters outside the event. Since these individuals were located on public property, TPUSA security attempted to, but was not permitted to, remove them. Okay, so that's where we'll lay off, but this is the exact problem we've got right now with the media, and I understand, look, The View tries to act like they're not a news show, and they're not, okay? But they get on there every day and they talk politics, all right? And honestly, I can't tell that any of the bitches have any real information to give anybody of any real substance. And I know I said that word, but the problem is it's people of that ilk right now that has turned our country into a complete mess. We're divided, and we're divided because of people like Joey Behar and Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg literally going on TV and lying to everybody that I guess is still watching that show. Who that is, I don't know. But she lied to everybody watching that TPUSA was in any way associated with Nazis. Now you got all these people believing that, because even if TPUSA comes down and condemns that, it doesn't matter. You've planted that seed now. And that seed is dangerous. It's repugnant. I mean, it's crazy that people are allowed to go on TV and make statements this outlandish and this much of an out-and-out lie. That's so dangerous. And to be real, MSNBC and CNN have been making the same kind of claims for a long, long time. And that's why Trump has got such a bad rap. I mean, they're still playing that Charlottesville shit. That one little clip taken completely out of context, and when you watch the whole thing, you're like, he's not co-signing the KKK at all. And he wasn't. But people that watched CNN, people that watched MSNBC, that's what they saw. Okay? And that was the biggest thing used against Trump to try to make him look like a damn racist. And, of course, by default, all of his followers, like me, a supporter of Trump, oh, well, you're now a racist. Okay. No, we're not. It's crazy. Again, Democrats are the ones that came up with the KKK to begin with. But the point is, this kind of media is so irresponsible. I mean, it's crazy. This is absolutely nuts. And if I was TPUSA, I would prosecute them. I would sue them to the fullest extent that I possibly could. And I'd make it very public. At some point, somebody has got to teach these sort of programs that like to offer these political opinions. Got to hold them accountable at some point. Publicly. Okay. So, tell me what you think, Black and White Network supporters. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.